Hi again, this is Mike, the Philosopher Engineer. Today is Friday, April 17th. We're into spring. It's been obviously a crazy year. Everything's been turned upside down, and things are starting to change. It seems like the coronavirus crisis, is starting to recede. We're not sure how fast, and now we're hearing about an effort or a plan to reopen America, so the reopening of America. And our theme has been April showers, a new spring. And what I want to talk about is a new start. Now, first I want to stop and think about what's happened to us. This feels like a storm. Imagine a tornado has come through and caused all sorts of damage, destroyed buildings, having people hurt or killed in the storm. And then when the storm leaves and the sun comes out, we all come out and assess the damage. And we're assessing the damage. And in this case, we have something like a storm. I mean, it's had a huge impact on our economy. Some companies have been destroyed, others have been damaged, and some have fared fairly well through this process. So we're going through this process of assessing the damage. And one of the things that I think is important, whether you're an executive or a leader, or really for all people working at a company, but especially for leadership, is that we're assessing the damage, and that really requires feedback, both from your employees and your customers, and maybe from other stakeholders. Everyone's been through a lot of shock. It's been very unsettling at the least. We've had to change the way we do work, and then we're going to talk about how to begin to grow again. And we're really going in uncharted waters because it'll be a long time before it gets back to whatever normal was. It might not ever get back to that. But we are talking about reopening, and there will be a growth. And whether that happens in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, or if we don't even really get in full gear until next year, that growth is going to happen. And one thing I wanted to point out was that after World War II, with all the incredible destruction, they had the Marshall Plan. You might remember that, or you can certainly look it up. The Marshall Plan was a huge program sponsored by the United States to rebuild Europe. And I think that might apply a little bit. What we have here is a tremendous amount of money that's going to come in by the government, by the institutions to reinflate this economy. And it doesn't really matter what side of the political aisle you're on. There's going to be a lot of motivation to really get this economy back up to where it is. Everybody wants to see that level of success. And I was just thinking about, whether you're a red state or a blue state, I think what's going to happen here when we start getting back to normal and all this money comes in is we're all going to become green states. And green states will be green for growth, green for money. And we want to figure out how we prepare during that time period. So I want to really focus on three things. The feedback that really helps us gauge where we're at. We need a good assessment. Even if your company is doing fantastic, the employees, have had their lives turned upside down. You really want to see how they're doing and what recommendations they have, so that when you start again, you're all coming back together and understanding what that takes, because you're really going on an uncharted path together. But also your customers and stakeholders, obviously. The other part is to look at your business from, S-curves. And you're probably familiar with S-curves, where you have kind of the early innovation part of the curve, then you have a growth period, and then you have maturity. And different products may be at different points in that S-curve. And for a business to grow longer term and really thrive, it needs to have multiple S-curves, and you have to kind of move from, one growth curve to another and build off of that. So that's what I show here with IGM is the innovation period, the growth period, and the maturity period. And if you're in a startup company, you're in that mode, and your whole company has to kind of adapt to what level it's at. Or if it's managing multiple S-curves in parallel, and that's where it's very important to be proactive. So I want to talk about those things, and then really, how do we prepare for growth? And I think it's really wise to think about that. And you may need to prepare for growth faster than you thought, or maybe it'll take a little bit longer. But in either case, probably by the end of this year or not too long from now, we're going to see this growth. We're going to see money come back in. And if our companies have been damaged, we're going to have to figure out how to get it back together, rebuild it, or decide how we want to move forward in a different way. If our companies have fared well through this crisis, it'll be a time period to really focus on some proactive things so you can operate at a higher level of performance, a higher level of teamwork and collaboration, so that you have some efficiencies out of your business. And you can also focus on culture. And I think it's a huge opportunity for culture. In some cases, companies have had to cut back on their personnel. It's a little scary, it's disruptive, and that might kind of create some fear and some problems with the culture. So this is a great time to kind of do the diagnosis. We work with Predictive Index and have some great tools to really help do that really easily and efficiently. But we really want to see, how's everyone doing, taking the temperature, taking the pulse. And then as we go into this new period of growth, we'll be more connected with our employees, and they'll be more connected with our plans, so we can work together. That's really the primary thing I wanted to focus on, is a new start. I was thinking a new beginning. That almost sounds a little too dramatic, but maybe not. Maybe it's not too dramatic, but we have to kind of change our mindset from being in kind of a battle mode, maybe even a little fearful, to, the storm's kind of going away, and now we're reassessing where we're at and preparing for growth. And I think the more proactive we are in that, both with our people and our plans, the much better results. We can actually find ourselves in a much better position. And also, there's going to probably be a new wave of hiring. People lost their jobs. It was a very disturbing time period. And when the economy picks back up, we're gonna have to hire people again, and that will become a great opportunity. And I wanted to point out one other thing I almost forgot about, and that is, even before this crisis happened, as you know, with Trump really wanted to bring more manufacturing back to the United States. And so that move was already in motion. Well, now with this crisis, there's even a much more heightened awareness of really managing our supply chain and being a little bit more secure. So we're not just always looking for the cheapest product, but also the security of being able to produce our own goods. So what I really foresee here with our own, if you want to call it something like a Marshall Plan, is we're going to see a huge influx of new production in the United States and in North America because of that trade agreement. And that's another part of this growth, and it may very well affect your companies. So it's something to really reflect on, and not get caught up in sort of the back and forth political scene, but looking at this as a major economic switch. We've crashed very fast. We're probably going to come up faster than most people realize. A lot of money will be poured in. And in addition to that, there's a major shift in sort of our economic model, where we're going to produce a lot more goods here in the United States and in all of North America with the North American agreement with Canada and Mexico. So this is a huge opportunity, in my opinion, and in the coming months, it's a time to really think about how we tap into that with our companies, with our existing products, and maybe with some new products. So that's my thought for today. It's a new start. Earlier I said April showers, a new spring. I think we're going to see a tremendous amount of growth. And we can think of it as we're all going to be green states. We're all going to be in this growth mode, and a lot of money is going to pour in. So let's think about how we come together and do that assessment and take the best advantage of this opportunity. Well, I enjoyed talking to you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk again soon. I wish you all the best. I hope everybody is safe and healthy, and let's go through this growth together. All right. Thank you. Bye.